guys, and welcome back to the channel and to a bi-monthly what I've watched. So we're going to talk about what I've watched for the first couple of weeks in August. It's a bright sunny warm day in Ireland here, very unusual. I'm sat inside doing this. What am I like? Let's get on with what I watched so far in August. So we kicked the month off with, I was doing it again. I'm getting this thing on Letterboxd where every time I click on a button it's asking me if I want to leave the site, and I don't know why. So I started the month with a movie that's on Netflix called Joyride. I watched this because Olivia Colman starred in it. I'm a massive fan of Olivia Colman. So this is a story about a young mother who's, well, middle-aged mother I suppose, who's just had a baby. She is not taken to motherhood very well. She doesn't think she wants to keep the baby. She doesn't want to bond with the baby. And she meets this 12-year-old boy, dysfunctional family. It says he has lost his mother, discovers his debt-ridden father stealing the charity money they've raised in her name. He runs away. These two people meet, and it's a kind of story about them helping one another. Mainly the boy helps her, it has to be said. He is such a sweet character, such a sweet boy. They both go on quite the journey. I'm fed up saying the word journey to you. I'm sure you're fed up missing it. So yeah, she plays a straight-talking solicitor who didn't expect to get pregnant. She's struggling with motherhood and planning to give her baby to a friend who will raise the child as her own. This was a really sweet movie. I give it a 3 out of 5. It wouldn't be my normal cup of tea, but I do love Olivia Colman. She is as sweet as she always is in this movie, as believable as the character as she always is. The boy in this is fantastic. Charlie Reid. There's Lachlan O'Meara. Oh, Jesus. It's Irish and Lisa's struggling with it. They were both fabulous, so I would recommend 3 out of 5. Only really seek out if you're a fan of Olivia Colman, and you want to see what she's been in lately. It's doing it again. I won't spend any amount of time on this. Harold, oh my God, wait till we see this. Who the hell's Christopher Henderson? No, I am not shaming someone for like. I'm just shocked. Christopher Henderson, 5 out of 5. Heart. Austin Burt 1. Joshua Gold 1. Brad 1.5. Adam 3. And Mike 3. Mike, Jesus, wept. I hated everything about this movie. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was so syrupy sweet that it made me feel nauseous. This is not because I'm a horrible, nasty, dark person that just likes horror. I love kids' movies. I love animations. I like Adam Garcia. If this was the first movie that I had seen Adam Garcia in, I would have never wanted to see him again. But I like him in Shazam. I've seen him in a couple of other movies and I liked him in those. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't my cup of tea. I said in the original longer review that I did for this with my husband and son, we all went to see it together, that I felt mainly sort of focused on really young children. But the more I thought about it, it's like, does it have enough to pull young kids in? It just wasn't for me. I did not enjoy it, and I was really looking forward to it from the trailer. I thought it looked really sweet. I thought, if you don't know, this is a movie about a magical guy that has he has a magical purple crayon, and whatever he draws with this purple crayon comes to life. Now, can you imagine the possibilities? My mind was going to Chinese buffets and cakes, it has to be said, but can you imagine the abilities or the possibilities for a child with a crayon where they can draw anything they want? And I don't really feel they utilise that, what could have been. So it wasn't for me. Again, Lee, why are you doing that on me? You're just going to have to tolerate it, folks. I do apologise. No way up. Ah, yes, right. Now, this is going to sound all kinds of weird, guys. This is a movie about a plane crash into the sea. The whole plane's under the sea and then they're attacked by sharks. Now you're going to go, what the... Now, I give that a 2.5 because that is probably the sort of level of movie it is. I enjoyed this so much more than a 2.5. Maybe I should rate it higher. Should I rate it higher? The film is like, there's lots wrong with it, but I really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a 3. So, characters from different backgrounds are thrown together when a plane they're travelling on crashes into the Pacific Ocean. Now, we're already on a winner. I love a plane crash movie. Fucking terrified of flying, maybe that's why. A nightmare fight for survival ensues with the air supply running out and dangers creeping in from all sides. I really like this. I am aware this probably isn't a very good movie, and most people will tell me there's something wrong with me. You may be right. I enjoyed it. I thought the effects were really good. The acting was absolutely fine. Some of the characters were a little bit annoying. It was completely predictable. But what is not to like about a plane crash into the sea and then sharks? What's not to like? You have to suspend belief dramatically, and you have to not think, well, that wouldn't happen, because you'll not enjoy it. It was silly, but I dug it. I liked it. I'm coming to the conclusion that I've just got really weird taste in movies. Double Dragon. Right. This is, I have to do a review for this. This is one of the 12 movies recommended by 12 friends to watch over 12 months. This is number 11 on that list. I fear I am never going to get number 12 watched because I can't find it anywhere to watch, and I'm not flipping paying for it because I've been told it's the worst horror movie from Australia ever, so I'm not paying for it. So, Double Dragon, this was recommended by Norin Rad's channel, Robert, and now, I used to play a game when they used to have arcades back in the day of Double Dragon. It was about two brothers, and it was one of my favourite games. I loved it. I spent hours on holiday in that arcade, banging away on them buttons. I don't know if this is based off that game. I'm not sure what the crack is. I lasted 40 minutes, and I should have watched the whole thing. I know I should have watched the whole thing. I couldn't bear it. It was 40 minutes that I will never get back. It was awful. I didn't like anything about it. I didn't like the acting. I didn't like the storyline where there was one. I don't like martial arts movies. I thought it may have been, it may have reminded me of the game, certain aspects of it, but when I watched it, I thought, well, no, this isn't what the game was. I like movies like early Jean-Claude Van Damme. I love Kickboxer, Bloodsport. I love the movie Best of the Best with Eric Roberts. That's my kind of like martial arts movies. This, all day long, no, absolutely not. And maybe, let me say, I'm maybe completely on my own there. Well, only 3 people I know that watched it review, like actually starred it. So we've got a 1, is that a 1? A 1, a half, a 2 and a 3. So it's really hard to decide on movies sometimes, because when you see what your friends have scored things, you have one friend scoring something a 4 and someone else scoring it a 1. It's like, how am I supposed to know? So Double Dragon was not for me. Very, very dated, very cheesy. It reminded me of a movie of the Power Rangers. If you like that kind of thing, you'll like that. Here we go again. We're all going to the World's Fair. Right, now, I have been wanting to watch this for ages, but I've never been in the right mood. Now, I had a day when I had the house completely to myself, and I thought, right, I'm going to watch a few movies, and this was one of the ones that I watched. And that day, choices just seemed to go from bad to worse. Everything I watched was terrible. This is, right, reality and fantasy begin to blur when teenager Casey, alone in her attic bedroom, immerses herself in a role-playing horror game online. That sounds all kinds of fabulous to me. I love anything that's kind of like Scream-based, or that kind of looks like found footage. I love one location movies. I love one character movies. That does not bore me. I love all that. And I thought, right, this is for me. This movie was so dull. Nothing happened. It seemed to be someone's excuse to just use a lot of effects and a lot of different techniques. And maybe I need to rewatch it. You can tell me if you're watching. Let's scroll down and see what oh dear God. Right, so again, remember I said some people will score at a 1? So you've got Jackson there on a 3, a 2.5, 4.5, 3.5, 3.5, 4, 5. And then you've got Patrick on a 1. Quato, 1. What am I supposed to do with that? You know what I mean? There's Leon, 5. What I am Fright Club, Northern Ireland, 4. What I am noticing is people that are quite intellectual tend to be scoring that quite high. Maybe, oh no, I feel better. All is well. Sean scored that a 1. Let's see what Sean said. Sundance Film Festival. This film was honestly the worst of the fest for me, and probably will be the worst of the year. It was incomprehensible, so it's not just me being stupid. And it made me feel gross for the entire runtime. Never been into creepypasta, so I like creepypasta. So I guess this film is not made for me. Anne Cobb seems to be a real find, and I would love to see her in another film, anything other than this. And Alex G's music was really effective. So Sean has found the positives there. He liked the actress, he liked the music. I feel like I need to give this one another chance because I feel like I just wasn't in the right mood and I wasn't paying enough attention. But I'm really glad to hear Sean say it was incomprehensible because I was feeling all kinds of thick because that's what I thought. I'm like, I watched Stalker a few weeks ago, Sammy G's favourite movie, and while I understood it, I feel that there was so much symbolism that I missed. And then there was another movie I watched the week after, and I'm feeling like, Lisa, do you need to go back to school? Are you like that thick? But when Sean says incomprehensible, I've all is well with the world. I feel much better. Lost in the Rail, in case you didn't know, Sean. The Gates. This was on the same night again. Right, what drew me to this film is John Rhys Davies, sorry. Beloved by Rob Zombie, shows up in a lot of his movies. We've got his face on the picture. He's not in this very long. You would think when I read the synopsis my brain would have clicked. So, death is just the beginning. Now what a cracking line. A serial killer has been sentenced to death by electric chair in London in the 1890s, but in his final hours he puts a curse on the prison he is in and all of those who are in it. Now you'd think Lisa might have realised that he's the prisoner that's going to be put to death and he's not going to be in it for very long. She didn't. She saw his face, she thought, oh, I like him. And she thought, death is just a beginning, curse, spooky wookie, fantastic. This film was not as bad as the previous two that I watched, but it wasn't great. It was a bit dull, it was a bit monotonous. Is anybody I know seen this one? One person gave it a 1.5, I gave it a 2. He's not in it for very long. He's fabulous while he's in it. The acting's not terrible. It's okay. I wouldn't say there's anything about this movie that stand out awful, but I would say it's very dull. It's one of those movies I wouldn't rush to see it. I wouldn't recommend it to people, but it's not the worst thing you'll ever watch. This wasn't a good couple of weeks, guys. The Strangers Chapter 1. I finally got round to it. Okay, for a little bit of context, the Strangers movie that came out quite a few years ago, the one with Liv Tyler, everybody was ranting and raving about how good it was, and I didn't particularly. I thought it was okay. I wasn't a massive fan. But so when everyone said this one was absolutely awful, I thought, Jesus, it must be bad if it's worse than that. So I didn't go to the cinema to see it because universally everyone was saying it was really bad. So I finally watched it. You've seen my score there, 1.5. So this is the typical story of the guy and the girl being stalked by these people in masks. And like every single person I know has said about this, the decisions made by the couple are so mind-numbingly stupid and so infuriating. There's not a few of them. Every single decision they make is like, what the hell are you doing? Why have you done that? It was infuriating to the point that I'm getting so cross I might need like anger management. I might need to switch this off. It was so bad. In saying that, there's nothing wrong with the acting. Cinematography looked great. It had the right vibe about it, but the characters weren't likeable. I didn't connect with anyone. There was one part of the movie that I felt was quite effective, something that happens that I wasn't expecting. It was like, oh, that was pretty cool. I like that. But other than, well, everybody will have seen this. I'm not going to give a major spoiler. Someone turns up unexpectedly to the door. That part, I thought, well, I like that. But other than that, very forgettable. Not one you're going to watch and think, well, you know, that was great. Not one you're going to be in any rush to want to see again. On the same day, you would think I would give up on movies after these couple of days. Baltimore. Okay, so this movie is about a very, should I read it rather than tell you, like a really privileged, Imogen Poots is in this, she's beautiful. Very privileged Southern English, I think, from very like wealthy stock, is very much into rebellion and, you know, fighting against the man and all this, and she manages to get herself, this is a true story I should say, involved with the IRA and their cause for United Ireland, and she's helping them doing certain things. So based on actual events, it took place on 26th of April 1974. A former debutante, what does that mean? I thought a debutante was a prostitute. Honest to God. Does that mean like a rich, eligible woman? I need to look that up. Turned IRA member Rose Dugdale and 3 comrades carried out an armed raid on Rusborough Home, Wicklow, that's in Ireland, in which 19 masterpieces were stolen in an effort to support the IRA's armed struggle. The film plays out over the course of the days following the raid, when Rose is in hiding in a remote cottage. So this is a true story. The performances are all strong. 2.5, I felt it was very dull. I am very interested in true stories. Obviously, it's set in Ireland also, so that would appeal to me. But it's nothing exceptional. I didn't go to the cinema to see. This is called something else. I think it's called Rose's Fight or Rose's War. Maybe in America, but it does have a different title. I think it's Rose's War. I wouldn't recommend to rush out and see it unless you're a massive fan of Imogen Poots. It's average. She's good in it, but it's not groundbreaking or anything like that. I feel really bad, guys. And right, here we go. Sean comes to the rescue. Ghost Light. Okay, so I had a message from Sean from Lost in the Real, who recommended this movie to me. He said it's his favourite of the year so far. Ghost Light, and I think Ryan, Ravens fan, I think it was him that watched this and said he knew nothing about it and he had no preconceived notions, and he loved it. So when a construction worker unexpectedly joins a local theatre's production of Romeo and Juliet alongside his estranged teenage daughter, the drama on stage starts to mirror his own life. That's a bit of a spoiler in there. Right, so this guy is your typical working class guy working on construction. It starts a bit like Falling Down, where he's really stressed, he's being harangued and shouted at by a pedestrian and motorists, and he finds himself in this building where these people, this like ragtag group of very different people, are doing their own version of Romeo and Juliet. He gets stuck just reading lines to help them out, and he gets foisted into this play. So there's something has happened in his life that he's struggling to deal with, him and his family. And this movie is implicitly acted. It's a beautiful movie. It's got some very moving scenes in it. I can't say what it's about without telling you too much. But if you sort of want to watch something that's very well acted, now not a great deal happens, as in from A to B, we don't have a massive turn of events, but an awful lot happens emotionally within this family, and it's about the emotions in the family. It's about something that helps them. It's about something that maybe brings them together. It's about the relationship between husband and wife, between father and daughter. It's about coping mechanisms. It's a very emotional movie. It's a very sweet movie. Now, I gave it 3.5 out of 5. You may think, well, you should have rated it higher than that. That's my rate, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really deep movie. It's not something I'm going to watch multiple times, and it's not something I walked away from feeling, I really, really enjoyed that. It is impactful, it's emotional, and it's very, very, very well put together. It's a story very well told. And I definitely, for movie fans, I definitely would recommend that to you. That's Ghost Light. So anyone I know that has seen that loved it. So if that's recommendation for you. We need Sean's reviews back. Sean, we need Lost in the Real reviews for proper, insightful, intelligent reviews about things, not me waffling. So on the 8th, I watched Being There. Right, yeah, this was recommended to me by someone, and I don't know who. Now, when I watch a stream, which I don't get to do often, unfortunately, or if I'm ever on a stream, and people are talking about something I haven't seen, I've always got a little piece of paper or my phone with my notes page, and I'm always writing stuff down to watch that I haven't heard of. This is one of these. Thank you, I don't remember who you were, but someone talked about this movie. 1979, Peter Sellers. Now, other than the Pink Panther, I don't think I've seen any Peter Sellers movies. I can hear the gasps. So, this, I cannot think but feel Rainman was inspired by this movie. Rainman with Dustin Hoffman. This character, I don't think is autistic. I'm not sure. But there's so many similarities between Dustin Hoffman's character and Peter Sellers' character in this. Alright, he's described here as simple-minded. That's not my word. A simple-minded gardener named Chance has spent all of his life in the Washington, D.C. house of an old man. When the man dies, he is put out on the street with no knowledge of the world except what he has learned from television. And that is, as it says, he's quite on in years. His boss, the old man, has died. The only person he's really had a relationship with other than him is the boss's maid, who's a really nice lady. But he finds himself homeless. He finds himself with no idea about anything. He's no idea about society, about money, about work, about jobs. He's very innocent and very naive, but people that meet him feel that what he says is very profound and very deep, because he's speaking from this like unburdened brain, this like simplistic, almost childlike brain. He's not very reactionary, he's very stoic. It's definitely unlike anything I've seen before. As I say, I do feel that there's a lot of Rainman almost taken from this. They're not similar stories at all, and I don't think he is autistic or on the spectrum or anything. He just hasn't experienced life or anything of life. He just knows everything from telly. This was a really sweet movie. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed it. I did feel it was very dated, but obviously I'm only seeing it now, like 20 odd years after it's been released. I liked it. I would recommend it. Let me show you other people's scores for that one. So you've got everything from a 1 to a 5. So I don't know exactly what that tells you, but you can see there across the bottom the scores are more positive than not. It was a very sweet movie and I'm glad I've seen it. It's one of those I think you need to see. Where are we now? Inside the Mind of a Dog. So this is just something on Netflix at the moment. I am obsessed about dogs. Dogs is one of my favourite things in life. It is just a movie about, it's not a movie, it's a documentary, a very short documentary. I think it was an hour and 15 minutes, just about how dogs think. I could have watched another hour easily. I could have got deeper into how dogs think, because I will watch anything with dogs in. As long as the dogs don't die, I'm happy. So 3 out of 5. I wanted more information, I wanted more length, don't we all? I wanted more detail. On the 10th, Find Me Falling. All right, yeah. I wanted to watch something easy. This happens occasionally. When I want to watch something brain dead and easy, and I'm looking at Netflix, there's usually multiple romantic comedies that I haven't watched because they're not my cup of tea. I never learn. But occasionally I watch one and I think, you know, that was alright. I quite enjoyed that. So this is Harry Connick Jr., very handsome man. He used to be a rock star. He wants to retire on this island in Cyprus, and he buys a house. In that house, now I would have much preferred a different approach to this. The house he buys, he must get pretty good deal on it, but it's set just off a cliff, and that cliff is a very famous hotspot for, I can't say the word because YouTube take you down if you use the word. People like to jump off that cliff where his house is. Now, if they had have based the movie upon different people's stories that he got to know and maybe talked out of going, then I think that would have been a fantastic premise. We would get this little glimpse into different people's lives, and maybe at the end of that glimpse the person still decided to jump and maybe some of them didn't. I would have loved this, but that's just glossed over. We do get one person that he talks to that was quite impactful, but it's mainly just a romance. It's just him. It's very vapid, it's very surface, there's nothing deep. They've painted awful tattoos on him, they look so fake. They're like, if you have tattoos, they're like really, really dark black, and he's supposed to have got them years ago and is a rock star, and they look like fake tattoos. It's just like, you know, can you not age the tattoos? Can you not make them look that little bit grey colour that tattoos get when they're aged? But no. Things like that bug me. It's like, look at them tattoos. It's like they were done yesterday, you know? So 2.5. Acting was nice, location was beautiful. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like to mark things down awfully just because it's not for me. So I gave that a 2.5 because it wasn't awful, it just wasn't for me. So Trap. Now I'm not actually meant to have seen this because I wanted to go see this with a friend, Kira. I ended up having to go see it because I needed to fill a couple of hours. I was supposed to be picking my son up after a Scouts week thing, and I was with my husband. It's the only thing we hadn't seen, so we were sort of forced into going to see it. Either that or sit in the car for 2 hours. That was it. So I had heard this was awful, this was terrible. It's the reason I've actually went to see it. I thought, well, maybe I'll save Kira watching something crap. So, Trap. This is going to make you feel that I don't know, and how long have I been? Oh Jesus, I always talk too long. So this movie, everyone knows what it's about because everyone's seen the trailer. As people have said, the twist is in the trailer. Yes, it is, but I feel there's another twist in this that people haven't really discussed that have reviewed it. I feel so differently to everyone about this. Now, I don't mean I thought it was fantastic. I don't. I did enjoy it, but I thought it was way too predictable. I will agree with Mike from Did You See That said it started really promisingly, but then it like sort of went a bit silly. There was a scene that Ryan, is it Not Another Geek? Oh, you've changed your channel name and it's something about a geek. Not Another Geek. Anyway, he said there's this one scene with police officers in it. They're looking for a bad guy in this concert. It's like a big sting operation, and the bad guy's trying to get out, but he's trying to be inconspicuous, and there's people left, right and centre all being pulled out of the crowd by the police because they may match a description even though they've got about 6 or 7 completely contrary different descriptions. So this guy they're looking for has obviously disguised himself when he's committed his crimes. Now Josh Hartnett is walking about, 6 foot odd. He's a tall guy. He stands out in a crowd. He's very imposing looking, and he's walking about multiple times, not in the arena watching the concert, looking a bit shifty, watching what everyone's doing, and there are literally about 100, maybe more police officers, and nobody thinks he's suspicious. Nobody pulls him out of the side. Nobody is bothered by him. He's even in the staff quarters, and he pushes his way through a load of police officers in a private meeting being briefed by their superior to get a coffee, and then pushes his way back out again and no one questions him. And it's like, I can buy not everything in a movie is going to be believable, but I mean, it was ridiculous. It was like, oh, come on now, you know, you're being silly. Now, the thing that annoyed me about this movie isn't the thing that annoyed everyone else, and the thing that seems to be bothering everyone else is the thing that didn't bother me at all. Now, people have issue with the fact that Shyamalan has cast his daughter as the singer in this, and obviously she's got a pretty big part in it. Now, if I was a movie director and Ryan also said this, so kudos to him, if I had a daughter that could sing like that and looked like that and filled the criteria, why am I hiring someone else when I can give my daughter the job? I'm all for nepotism if the person's good enough at the job to, you know, if you're not giving it to that person and they're don't swear, and they're crap at it, if they can do it, if they fit the role, of course you're going to give your daughter a step up. Of course you are. And other people are saying that her acting is terrible. I didn't feel that. No, I don't feel she's a seasoned actress. I don't feel that her acting was Oscar worthy, but do I feel the script was? Do I feel that the story was? No. Do I think she was... I warmed to her. I really liked her character. I had no issue with her at all. I really liked her. So I have no issue with that side of things. What I did have issue with, and me and my husband actually talked about this, but he felt exactly the same. When we go to the cinema and we review a movie, we will not talk to each other about what we thought until we're in the car and I press the button. So we'll switch on the recorder and not know what the other person thought, and we completely agreed on everything. But I don't know anyone else that has this viewpoint. Neither of us like Josh Hartnett in this role. Every review I'm hearing, even the people that don't like this movie, are saying Josh Hartnett carried the movie, Josh Hartnett was the best thing about the movie, and me and Darren are like, Josh Hartnett cannot play a bad guy. When he tried, there was a specific scene where he walks through the police officers, if you've seen, and I'm not giving spoilers, this is in the trailer, guys. Let me have a wee drinky, I've got a frog in my throat. Maybe I should shut up and give the frog a chance. If you're Scottish, you should get that reference. If you're Scottish and old, you should get that reference. So, when I think someone that's cracking at a bad guy, I think Jack Nicholson. There's loads of different... Nicolas Cage. There's people that can turn like that. This guy can't. When he walks through the police at the end of that scene where he's getting his coffee, he's like all nicey nice, and then his face just drops and he's supposed to have this like evil look. I didn't believe it for a second. I felt that when he tried to look evil, he looked a bit funny. I didn't think he did bad guy well. I didn't feel threatened by him. I didn't see that sense of mania in his eyes. And there's a lot of guys that I feel could have played this role implicitly, and I just don't feel he was right for the role. I feel he's okay physically. He stands out too much. he's like head and shoulders over everyone else, and he's supposed to be like this chameleon that can blend in. There's no way in this life that guy's walking about and he's not going to stand out. He stands out like a sore thumb everywhere he goes. He's a nice guy. This guy to me is a rom-com actor. I don't feel he's a good enough actor for this role. Now, that does not mean I think the movie was fantastic. I liked the movie. I just didn't like him in the role, and my husband felt exactly the same. So I don't know what that says about us. You know, there's a lot of... I feel Joaquin Phoenix could have played this role fantastically. I don't like the guy, but Shia LaBeouf could have been really good in this. People that can switch that mania over in his day, Jack Nicholson, you know, Jack Torrance. It's almost like they were going for a Jack Torrance character. And I just feel they fell really short of the mark with the Josh Hartnett. So yeah, 3 out of 5 for Trap. I am a big Shyamalan fan. I love Shyamalan. I liked Old. The only Shyamalan movies I don't like are The Happening and The Last Airbender. I like everything else he's done. I did like this, but this would be the bottom of the movies that I liked. So it was better than The Happening, it was better than The Last Airbender, but I preferred Old to this, so shoot me. And finally, last night I watched The Florida Project. Now, I've had this for ages to watch, and people keep saying, oh, it's fabulous, it's brilliant, but when I read the synopsis, it's like, oh god, it just doesn't read like my cup of tea. And when it started, I still felt that way. So, welcome to a magical kingdom, the story of a precocious 6-year-old and her ragtag group of friends whose summer break is filled with childhood wonder, possibility and a sense of adventure, while the adults around them struggle with hard times. This film is fantastically made. I read loads of trivia about this last night that was really interesting. Almost everyone in this is a first-time actor or a very inexperienced actor. One of the little boys is actually someone that was living in the motel. Now, what's his face? Willem Dafoe's in this. He's the main big actor in it. If this movie hadn't have ended the way it did, I wouldn't have felt as strongly about it. I loved how this ended. I had massive issue with the mother, the girl's mother in this, and how the mother was treating her daughter, and how I felt like she was put across as this like real heroine, like this real cool mom. And as a parent myself, I was completely aghast at the behaviour of the kids, at what the kids were getting away with, at the example the mother was showing to the kids, and it was making me quite... Naughty kids makes me quite cross. I was getting quite cross. And most of the movie follows like that. I love Willem Dafoe. I thought his character was wonderful. I really warmed to his character. As he always is, he was fabulous. Everyone in this is fantastic. They actually even filmed some of this on the quiet with tourists, and there's scenes where the mother and daughter are trying to sell perfume, and they would approach people on the street, tourists, and film from a distance. And then afterwards, the crew would run after them and get them to sign a release to use them in the movie. They didn't close down the motel where they filmed this, so there's like members of the public in it that were staying there. It's very much a slice of life film, but where this movie went to and where this movie ended, I feel completely elevated it for me. If it hadn't have went where it went, I would have not have been happy with it. So 100% I would recommend it. It's a really good movie. But it's just a slice of life movie about this family, it's probably very realistic. It shows a completely different side of Florida. Then obviously I've been to Florida a couple of times to go to Disney World. This is a completely different side of Florida. Really interesting to see. As I say, the ending just was fantastic for me. I didn't see it coming at all. I should have, because it's how it should have ended, but I especially liked the very ending, right at the last, what they did right at the end, which I won't tell you. But yeah, let me press stop on this because I've waffled long enough. I'm always amazed at any of you guys. I'm now on 35 minutes. I'm always amazed that any of you guys watch this. I'm also watching through a documentary on Netflix about the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, which is really, really interesting. I can't believe how little they're paid, how hard they work, and how much is expected of these girls, how much they're judged. They have to change everything about how they look. If someone says to them, like from the team, the makeup team, right, no, I don't like you blonde, you're going to go brunette. I don't like your hair long, we're going short. They have to do it. and these girls are having injuries and they're trying to perform through it, and they're moving from one side of the country to another to live there to try out, and it's like, oh my god, it's such hard work. And you know, when you think about it, cheerleading, you think and also there are 2 new seasons of Love is Blind. I do not watch most reality TV, folks. I hate things like Love Island. I don't like anything that's very vapid and appearance based. The reason I like Love is Blind is because the concept is you fall in love with a person without ever having seen how they look, and they're forbidden from telling each other what they look like. Some of them get around certain things by, a woman will say something like, oh yeah, I like to keep fit, I like to go to the gym. So it's like, right, okay, she's not fat, tick. So people get round it like that, but you'll not know how tall, how short, you'll not know hair or eye colour, you won't even know race, lots of different things. You won't have a clue until you're face to face with this person. And I love that concept. I love the concept of falling for someone just for what's here and having no idea what's here. And there have been instances where people have met, saw the other person and like, no, and backed out of the, it's not happened often, but it's happened. And so there's like a Swedish one, a American one, a Japanese one, a Brazilian one, and now they've released a UK one and a Mexican one. So they tend to release them a few episodes at a time. So I have watched the first 4 to 5 episodes of the UK one, waiting on the next lot. I've watched the first the first maybe 8 of the Mexican one, waiting on the next set. I'm addicted. I love it. I love trying to predict in the pods where they're talking what couples are going to like get together, and then trying to predict what couples at the end they have to get married. So they go to the altar and they either say yes or no, and then I like trying to predict what ones are going to say yes and what ones are going to say no. But anyway, I love the show. I know a couple more people like the show, so I'm not on my own. But yeah, I've been watching that, and that's about it really. I'm going to do another couple of videos today when I've got a bit of time. Thank you if you've watched this mammoth 40-minute video. I talk too much, way too much. Thanks for watching, guys. I look forward to speaking to you next time. Over and out from Lisa Loves.